What? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're new to the channel, my name's Tim. This is Vehicle Evolution, and today we're doing coilovers. I said in my last video that coilovers was going to be next, and that's what we're doing. So these coilovers, not going to lie to you, they ain't the best. This is kind of a test. So I got these off Amazon. They cost me under 300 bucks. I'm going to be the guinea pig for you to see if these things are actually worth anything. If they're not, then I'm not out a ton of money, but I figured, what the hell, give it a try. Maybe it'll be better than the lowering springs, maybe a little bit better ride. I don't know. So anyway, let's just get right into it. And as you guys may be able to tell already from the packing, these are the maXpeedingrod's adjustable coilovers. They are not terribly expensive. I mean, they're actually ridiculously cheap for what they are. The packing looks pretty good in there. Front coilovers themselves here. We've got the back components. I'll pull them out in just a second and show them to you, but overall, you know, I think for the money, these are going to be pretty good. Now, I have a link in the description below. These were actually bought off of Amazon. You can get them off of eBay. On Amazon, these things range anywhere from, you know, about $300 to $400. This set that I got, I think they may have just had a funky listing, but I paid $285 for these. These actually cost less than the lowering springs that are on the car right now. So my expectations aren't super high, but looking at them initially, I think they're going to be pretty good. So we'll get to putting them on. So here's what it looks like outside. We've got our front strut here, adjustable. We got our rear strut, additional rear mounts for the springs and the sway bars. So we get two complete sets, and actually looking at it here, this was the one that I ordered, and 270 bucks off of Amazon. Again, the link will be in the description below. They range, but got the adjustment settings up here for adjusting the dampening, 24 points of dampening. So I mean, at a quick glance, how they work, how they feel, I mean, they're pretty solid. Good construction up here. Nothing, doesn't look like real cheap material, but we'll see. For my purposes, I think we'll be good. So if you saw my video on the lowering springs, link in the description below, this is pretty much the exact same process, at least on the front. The back's going to be a little bit different, but same process on the front. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot during this, but we removed basically we removed the wheel, and we removed the shock tower, replace it with the new one, and make sure the height's set, and should be pretty simple. So that's what we're going to do. As you can see in here, here's our lowering spring that we put in before. So pretty simple installation, or should be. Remove this bolt. We have a new sway bar that goes on here, so we're going to take that off, and then that off down there. And then we've got these three nuts up here to release, and that should be it. And just put back in the new one. Hopefully that's simple. tower, old sway bar piece, our new coilover, which again, see is shorter. So what I've done is I've adjusted the coilover so that pretty much the overall length is the same as the strut that came out. I've never done this before, so don't blast me right away in the comments, because as soon as I put this in, I'll figure out if I need to adjust something. For now too, I'm going to set the other coilover at the exact same height, and yeah, that should make it so that the car's level when we get everything back together. Alright, so both front coilovers are at the exact same height, and we'll figure out if this is the setting or if I need to do something different. Okay, so for right now, I've just connected these. We'll set the wheel on it. We're gonna let the car down. And I need to see how this works, because I have a feeling that this is set way too far apart. All right, so as suspected, that is way too far. I mean, God, look at that gap. That's like, so, yeah. So we're gonna make an adjustment. So it looks like we've got roughly 2.5 inches that we need to drop those coilovers. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so we made the adjustment. Looks a lot better. We are 2.5 inches lower than what we were before, which should give us roughly the same gap that we had on the springs. So all we're going to do is put this back in here, attach the sway bar, attach our brake line to that, and we're done. Well, put the wheel back on and, you know, lower the car, but other than that, we'll be done. Alright, so there we are. Still have a little bit of room here, but I imagine these are going to settle a little bit, so I'm going to see how it is after they settle some. I might close the gap a little bit, but there they are, in there. Up here, this is where we can adjust our dampening, which we will do, and off to the other side. This thing has 24 points of dampening, so we're going to go all the way to one side till it stops, and then we're going to come back 12, and that puts us halfway in, and we'll see what the ride's like there, and then I can stiffen or soften it depending on how it feels. But that's next, and then off to the back. So now we've got the rear ones that we're doing. So unlike the springs, this is replacing the strut and the spring. So we'll follow the same process that we did before, and we'll pull the spring out, but then we're also going to be removing the strut. And it looks like the only thing you have to do here is remove these two bolts. The bolts at the top here are 14 millimeter. The bolts and nuts at the bottom here are 19 millimeter. You will also have to remove this bolt back here that holds the stabilizer arm on. That way this whole thing will drop down, you'll be able to pull the spring out and everything else. And you will have to take a wrench and put it in on this side to keep the ball from spinning. And it's grooved so that that wrench will lock in place. You're going to want to use your jack as well to keep pressure on the bottom of this arm so that you can pop the bolts out. Otherwise, that whole thing's going to come smacking down on you. Alright, so once you have those bolts off, you just need like a breaker bar or a long handled wrench, something that you can get some leverage in here. You're going to push this down, and that will allow you to pop this spring out. And once the spring's out, then we'll take off these two bolts up here, and we'll remove the strut. Okay, so something that you're going to notice on the top of these when you pull them out is the height difference between this post and what you have here. This top area is not visible from inside the trunk, even removing the liner. There's a metal part of the fender, I guess the inner fender, that covers it all up, which makes this very difficult to get to make any kind of dampening adjustments. You do have to drill a hole through the metal just so that this will go up. The bigger problem is because of this rubber piece here, which is not here, this does not seat properly, and you have to actually open up the hole that is already in the bottom of the wheel well for this to go through, and it is a first-class pain in the neck. Okay, for right now we're going to set this bottom piece right to the top, and then if we need to adjust it any, we can adjust it. I've got the strut set to where it came from the factory. I'm going to leave that alone too, and we'll just see where this thing sits. As it is, this is slightly lower than what the spring is, but this, you know, it's hard to say what the tension is on the spring, so we're just going to try it and see what we get. Alright, so rear coilovers are on. Like I said, just enlarging that hole was probably the biggest pain in the neck. Other than that, they went on pretty easily. Ride height looks good. It's about where it was before, maybe a little lower, but fitment looks good. And moving on down to the front, front looks good there too. So we'll take it out for a drive and see if there's any difference. Alright guys, so initial impression on the coilovers is not bad for under 300 bucks. Not bad. So aside from the install issues on the rear struts, which really was a pain in the neck, but it's something that is workable, everything else went together pretty smoothly. So yeah, I drove these for about 100 miles, if that, and yeah, I don't think I'd waste my money on them. Yeah, I wouldn't waste my money. I'll throw up a picture of what happened. 100 miles. I didn't shoot any video of it because I don't know, I was too busy switching it out for my lowering springs to put it back to the way it was. And eventually I'll get some decent coilovers for this, because I really do want the coilovers. While they were working for, like I said, less than 100 miles, they were pretty good. But no, can't say I'm all that surprised, but man, these are bent. This is the front passenger side coilover. The driver side was starting to bend, but wasn't anywhere near as bad. So in defense of maXpeedingrod, they actually did give me a full refund on the set of coilovers. So as it turns out, I was able to show you guys that they ain't really worth anything, and I'm not really out any money other than my time. So yeah, well, live and learn. You get what you pay for. That's how it works. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. As you can see back there, I think you can probably see in the back, there are new taillights on this car, and I already hinted to the headlights in the front. So next video is going to be pretty cool. Until next time, that's all for me for now, guys. Take it easy.